how does the poet create an interesting dynamic between man and animal in this poem? A memory thoroughly investigates the dynamics between man and animal, and by extent, the relationship between man and nature, through utilizing the depiction of the relationship of a sheep shearer and his sheep as an extended metaphor. The imagery of the poem also permits and encourages the exploration of the man-animal relationship through its usage of cigarette iconography and depictions of the shearer's physical appearance. The shearer is described as having a bony white bowed back in the first sentence of the poem, an imagery that makes him appear to be weak. But this is dramatically juxtaposed by the second line of the poem, claiming that the shearer is powerful as a horse. He is bowed over an upturned sheep, and the poet could be suggesting that the shearer's power comes from not just physical strength, although not evident through his appearance, but by his domination of the sheep, an animal. Therefore, this could potentially be an extended metaphor about human power. We are powerful not by our physical strength, as there are many animals far more powerful than us, but by our control and domination over nature. The ability to harness nature to suit our needs is what grants us this power. The shearer utilizes a sheep's wool for financial gain, and without the sheep's supply of marketable product, the shearer would not be able to keep food on his table. Hence, the poem suggests that men exploit animals and nature for our own gain. However, the poet also presents the relationship between man and animal as a symbiotic one. Even though the shearer utilizes the sheep for commercial gain, the sheep, domesticated for the very purpose of providing as much wool for human consumption as possible, needs a shearer for survival. The domesticated sheep cannot survive in the wild and require the farmer to feed it. Its large amounts of wool require frequent shavings to keep it cool, so the poem could be suggesting that humans have changed nature, animal nature in particular, so much that we now need to be responsible for its survival. The shearer and the sheep are interdependent and require the other to stay alive. Therefore, the poem emphasizes the case that men and nature must live in harmony to guarantee each other's greatest benefit. The shearer and the sheep seem to be in the same position, even if in terms of appearance, the sheep is upturned for the farmer. Both have no social mobility and must submit to the laws of nature and tradition. The poem invokes a sense that the sheep shearer is carrying a century-long tradition through the cigarette's continuous burning. Although it is bent at its glow, the imagery a reflection of the shearer bowed over the sheep. It is preserving its pride of ash. People, especially the elderly, embrace tradition as a source of pride. The shearer is described to nip the butt of stub from his lips, then lighting another at it. Noticeably, he does not simply light a cigarette with a lighter, but instead transferring the fire from one cigarette to the next. He is literally and metaphorically passing on the torch. The sheep is doing the same. Its ancestors were domesticated for human usage. Its parents, probably bred by the shearer's parents or the shearer himself. Their similarity in position is further emphasized by the way the shearer's physical appearance, wide-bowed back, bald, arch-wrinkled, seem to be reminiscent of the physical appearance of a sheep, alluding more to the interconnectedness of man and animal. Hughes depicts the relationship between man and animal as a strenuous and turbulent one, wherein the animal or nature itself behaves rebelliously against the human struggle to contain and control it. The shearer's face is flame crimson, and he makes guttural African curses due to the difficulty of the shearing process. The sheep is described as being slippery and difficult to contain, like tying some oversized, overweight spilling bale. Nature does not want to be subdued and leaps free after being peeled. The animal offers resistance, and the poem depicts the struggle for control between man and animal as a continuous one, again alluded through the cigarette's continuous burning and the shearer's chain smoking out of stress and body tension. The sheep has no free will, its life dictated by human whims. The shearer's masterings of the animal are suddenly savage, suddenly gentle. The farmer can choose to treat the sheep roughly, and the sheep would not be able to counteract that treatment. Therefore, the poem depicts the dynamic between man and animal as oftentimes an abusive one, where all humans know to do is to take and take and take. I found it really interesting how it is not every man or someone with power establishing control over animals, but rather a working-class farmhand. He is described as being like a collier, a face worker, his work demanding and stressful, the shearing process a dark hole of obstacle. The farmer supplies the wool as a means of production, the production of other material goods, such as a wool puffer coat, and not to the final product. In fact, although he is producing wool and the place where he works is cold with an east chill through door drought, he is only wearing a singlet. I think the poet could be making a statement on how powerful, high-ranking human officials take advantage of both man and animal, again alluding to the interconnected relationship between sheep and shearer. The dynamic between man and animal is interesting due to the unacknowledged symbiotic relationship between the two parties as they struggle for domination and control, seemingly unaware of the need for cooperation and harmony. The relationship is a fight for dominance and control, an argument that Hughes suggests will never end.